wanted to create a convention that we felt like was truly built from the ground up to be very inclusive of everyone, like make everyone feel like they really belong in the world of fandom, because they do. You know, everybody deserves a seat at the table and deserves to feel comfortable and safe attending events, and not to be shut out of like networking opportunities and fun stuff to do. So that was the original impetus, and it's been so much fun that we keep doing it, just because it's the number of awesome people that we've met along the way, and just how much everyone, including us, looks forward to that weekend in October every year. It's not that big a stretch to say that sometimes people do go and then come out a little bit changed on the other side of it, and at least in terms of their new friends and their new thoughts on things, and like rejuvenated inspiration.
I think the conversations is what Jesse means. When you come out of it and you've had all of these amazing conversations that you don't necessarily get to have in everyday life, people who are smart and funny and usually quite goofy, and it's becoming a family.
So far this season, the multiverse has helped us with that itch for our minds and souls. But we also have itches in other places, like our loins and our stomach. And tonight, we try to remedy that with erotic romance author Sydney Brianna. A little bit more exercise with chaotic good fitness. And to quell our stomachs, we have the Con Suite director and kitchen witch, Aimee Andrichak, who might just give us a sneak preview of this year's Con Suite menu.
We're doing all of that tonight on the Spotlight series on the Multiverse with your host, Joe Compton.
Hello, everybody. I am Joe Compton. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Spotlight of the Multiverse show. I apologize for my voice. I'm just getting over being sick, so just have to deal with the raspiness and all of that fun stuff. So
we call that sultry.
Appreciate it. But as you can see, I have a wonderful first guest with me, and that's Sydney Brianna, and I'm really excited to have her here. So Sydney, as I always do with the first go around here, I always love to ask people to just tell a little bit about themselves. So please, the floor is yours. Tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do.
My name is Sydney Brianna, and I write smut. I have a 6-volume. Well, actually, it's going to be 7. 6 are published. It's a paranormal, romantasy, urban. It's actually urban fantasy, rotomance. So it's like there's a little bit of everything in it, which will fit right in at Multiverse. This is my people. It's about, it has gods and monsters and humans, and it's, kind of a world where everybody lives together, but, it dips back to the past, it's present. So it's all over the place. It sounds like chaos, but I assure you there's actually stuff to it. I got started writing in 2018 after I had a hysterectomy, and I was reading romance novels about female characters that I had nothing in common with. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to write some. And so that's really where it all started. And I've had a great time doing it since.
That's awesome. We'll hit upon that a little bit later, because that's an interesting idea and a great topic to talk about, especially with authors. But I just wanted to say hello to the people who are here. Vanessa's here. Anita's here. Thank you for all joining us. And yes, we love chaos. We definitely do. As I discovered, as talking to you earlier, that this is your first time at Multiverse. And I've been saying this all along for even the people who have been at Multiverse before. This is really a really great opportunity this year to be a first-timer, because we're all essentially going to be first-timers here, because we're in a new venue with a new situation, and there's a lot more space, a lot more things going on. And so it's going to be interesting for us who have been there before to, navigate it as well. What made you sign up for Multiverse? What was it about Multiverse that you really wanted to come and join the family for?
So I learned about Multiverse from one of my author friends, and she's like, you really should go, because she had seen an image of me actually, I'm not sure if she saw the image or I was telling her about a picture that I posted, but I made these huge Valkyrie wings
Oh,
for
neat.
Ren Fair. And she's like, I think multiverse would be your vibe. You know? I love Comic-Cons. I love festivals. I love to dress up. Anything to get me in a corset, I'm there. And so I was like, yeah, this is it. And I was so excited when they accepted me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, so now you've done the survey, I assume. Have you looked at it, all the panels and everything like that?
Mm-hmm.
What caught your eye? What was, because the boss is here, Vanessa's here, so this is your chance to pitch a little bit. So tell everybody a little bit about what you're interested in. What were some of the panels that really got excited about when you looked at it?
My gosh, there were so many. Of course, a lot of them were in the paranormal vein. Because that's kind of my wheelhouse.
There's a lot of those this year. That's really interesting.
Yeah. That was really exciting to see. And a few that were kind of centered around female characters. That was awesome because I think that developing female characters is important in romance especially. Sometimes female characters can be honestly a little annoying. And I'm really excited to learn about and share female characters that are strong and awesome. That would, I'm really looking forward to that. I think I signed up to moderate. I was kind of like, put me in, coach. Some of them actually seemed a little more intelligent than I am. And I was like, oh man, I think that's for the smart people. So I didn't sign up for those, but I signed up for a lot of them. So hopefully they'll find somewhere to throw me in.
Well, as a fellow pseudo dumb person, don't worry. There's plenty of those for us out there.
Awesome.
I can tell you, yeah, nobody's. Jesse says chaos.
Yes.
And there's not a level or degree for this. I mean, that's one of the great things about multiverse is that we all have something to contribute.
Mm-hmm.
On this, no matter where we are and who we are and what we're doing. The really great thing about all these panels that I've really found so fascinating and I've learned so much from is just watching a lot of them, not even just participating, but watching a lot of them. You have, there's just a feeling that there's such an inclusiveness to it that you feel like no matter where you are in the level of who you are and what you do, that it's all part of the same spectrum and we're all together in this and it's really cool.
Oh yeah, I love that. And I feel like that anywhere you go in a costume, you get that.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I love it. You're just accepted for whatever character you come out as. You can have
probably revered at times.
Like everybody loves it.
Yeah. I was gonna say probably revered at times too,
Yeah, exactly.
People want to get that picture,
Yeah. Yes.
Vanessa says she has news for us that we don't accept dumb people as guests.
Oh, well, there we go.
We're just getting in the spirit of it, Vanessa. Obviously, we're not dumb, but yes. One of the things that is interesting about Multiverse too is it's a consent-based, conference, a convention. So if you are doing cosplay, right? Not only do they have the competitions like all the conventions do, but they have opportunity to let people know whether or not you're interested in taking pictures with people. It's a very safe environment. They foster that, right? Is that something that appeals to you as somebody who does do a lot of cosplay and is interested in doing that? Is that something that you're really thankful for?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And, I find that I honestly find in most of the spaces that I go, people are really respectful. I mean, sure. I think the ones that aren't are a one-off, but I really love that Multiverse is supporting that and enforcing it. I mean, I think that's great. It makes it accessible to people who don't necessarily want to be in pictures or be groped or whatever.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. We were talking before this about Peach Tree City and you said you had frequented Savannah before, but never Peach Tree City. And we were kind of talking about the environment and everything like that. Looking at it, from a new person's perspective, you've probably seen some pictures and seen some idea of it. Have you been to bigger cons before? Is this kind of your kind of size that you like? Is there a nice size to this conference that you think that is a little bit better suited for maybe a little bit more of cosplay opportunities and things of that nature? Because at Dragon Con you could get lost, right? You could easily just walk around and nobody talk to you at all, right?
Yeah.
And which some people appreciate. I mean, there are a lot of introverted people and they just rather just do their own thing, obviously. But at Multiverse, we're going to be not as confined, but we're going to have opportunities where we're going to interact with people. And is that appealing to you as a first timer as well?
Yeah, I really have no idea what to expect, to be honest.
That's good. That's good.
I really don't, and I'm excited to be surprised. I'm really looking forward to that. I can go both ways at a con. I can want to stand on the wall and just observe and enjoy everybody's costumes and really take it in. And then I'll be the one in the picture. So I'm looking forward to just experiencing everything that Multiverse has to offer. It's going to be amazing.
You had mentioned that you had done Comic-Cons before. So is this your first time as an author, like being a panelist and moderating and things of that nature?
It is. I'm going awesome. Legit. I'm actually going to be there for, expect to have a blast. Oh, yes. I'm really looking forward to it. But this is going to be a whole new perspective for me. I mean, I've done some panels and stuff in the past, but they were more writing events. And doing one at a con was like the perfect situation for me. I'm like, best of both worlds.
Now, there is the element of what you write as taboo and what have you. But this con is not particular to what you write as far as, I mean, we do have genre tracks and things of that nature, but it does allow you an opportunity to be whatever you want to be and still talk about something that is within that realm, right? Have you found that being a erotic writer that it's not as closed as maybe people think it is, that there is some openness to it and there's opportunities for people, or do you feel like it is still pretty closed?
I would say in the trad world, it's a little bit more closed, but I'm finding that venues like Multiverse and different writing groups, they're really embracing it because, I mean, let's face it, it's a trending subgenre. I mean, people like smut. And so to not include that is almost alienating those people. So I really love to see this trend of these organizations and communities saying, you know what, there's a space for you here. Join us. We'd love to hear your story. And, even the dark romance, I mean, that's another one that's kind of, out there, but they're welcome in those spaces too. It's for everybody. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah. I think if you're going to have dark fantasy and horror, you can have erotica. I mean, it's not peanut butter and jelly. It's, it's all flavors,
That's right.
The interesting thing to me too is what people I think don't understand is erotica is a good business. Erotica does really good business, right? And there's a lot you can learn from a savvy author who does business ship in that space too. Is that something you're looking forward to talking about as well? Is being an author in that space and being able to do it, make some money at it, and because I think a lot of authors are struggling who write fantasy, who write epic tales, and wondering how do I even do this? How do I make money, right? But I think erotica and romance can offer a lot in that aspect as well.
Well, I'd like to say that I would be an expert in that, but I'm not. I'm actually going to enjoy learning from my peers in that respect. But I can definitely tell them what not to do. Like mistakes that I've made, I can share that experience so that maybe they have a few less obstacles to encounter on their journey. I'm still very much early in my journey, but yeah, I mean, just exchanging those ideas with, people from different backgrounds and, diverse thoughts. I mean, there's nothing you could do but learn at this event.
Let's talk about your writing specifically for a little bit. The interesting to me when I was looking at what you write and how you write it, and here we go. Plus, writing sex scenes is hard. Non-smut authors can learn a lot from how to e-rom authors write sex scenes, and we're just another form of an action scene.
True. That's absolutely right.
That's awesome. I love that idea. The craft is the craft, right? And there's certain things and aspects about the craft that really, we're gonna have Amy on here in a moment, and she writes cookbooks, and there's craft to that aspect of it as well, and it's and I think to shelve that just because of what you write genre wise is a silly notion in that respect,
Yeah, I think there's a misconception about erotic romance that
Absolutely.
It doesn't have a plot, and there's a lot of story that goes along with that smut. There really is.
Well, I was going to mention too, as I get sidetracked here talking, but I was going to mention about your stories. I think there's one event you have to attend at Multiverse if you can get there this year. If you're not already on a panel, and it's 2 words: Monster Mash. I think you would be very, very suited to have a lot of fun at the Monster Mash. I'll be in the audience. I don't like to be up on the stage. I actually think the audience is the better spot for the Monster Mash personally, but that's my personal opinion. It's not everybody's opinion. It's my personal opinion, but I love there's just such a great energy and interaction with the crowd amongst the monster mashing too. So if I was to give you a suggestion, that's the one place I would say you would really, really love. So.
Oh, well, thank you for that. I actually, I hope to be a part of, or at least in the audience of, the bedtime stories.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm really excited. It's like, I want to see what y'all are doing. I want to be a part of that.
That's awesome, too. That's a really good time, too.
Yeah.
Vanessa just got excited. So. There are a lot of misconceptions about genres. Great writing can happen on any subject. So.
That's true.
You should explain Monster Mash, Joe, since she's never been. Yeah. So Monster Mash is essentially, it's a competition between 2 factions. So usually 5 or 6 people on one side. And the great Mark L. Abbott hosts this, where he picks 2 monsters in similar vein, like we'll say like Godzilla versus Mothra, right? Just as an example. And he'll give one team Godzilla and one team Mothra, and they have to explain why the other monster would destroy the other monster. And they have to give it in grave detail. It's like watching a debate with scholars who are familiar with the monsters of which they have been given. And it's really, and then the audience gets into it. And I won't spoil what happens at the end because it's very fun at the end. And I'm not going to spoil it, Vanessa, so don't ask me to. But can recommend bedtime. Same here. There's a point in Multiverse where you get to a point where, at least for me, and this is, again, just me, I'm not saying everybody does this, but where there's 4 or 5 things that are really cool going on at the same time, and I just go in between, back and forth. And it's trash talking for nerds.
Well, that's why you have to go back the following year so you can hit the things that you missed this year. Yeah,
exactly. That's usually the thoughtful plan, but it never works out that
way. You just keep going back to the things you love, and you don't.
Yeah. Of course, yeah. You gotta. Yeah, when you get into it, like Monster Mash is one of those that just grabbed me and never let me go. Bedtime Stories is very much like that, El Marie Wood says, "I'm sorry to miss it this year. What a great time." Oh, we're sorry that you're not going to be there either. That's sad news. Because your track is my favorite, Lisa. So I mean, that's where I spent a lot of time with you last year. I'm talking to El Marie Wood. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, all right, y'all, stop sidetracking me so I can get this with me and talk to her about her awesome books. So tell everybody a little bit about what you're currently writing and what it's about, and give everybody an idea, with everything that's with the writing you're doing currently. What's the series you're working on right now?
So I'm working on the Custodes Passis series, which is the Guardians of Peace. And it's about an immortal team of warriors who fight they fight a religious apocalypse. So like Ragnarok or the Revelations, it very much ties into religion and faith and mythology and gods and and of course they have loves that they meet along the way during these adventures. And I don't want to give too much away,
Yeah,
but
no.
there's a lot of interconnectivity of faith. And what I hope comes out of that, even though I write smut, is this sense of unity. Like we're not that different after all. We are different, but we're very similar in a lot of ways. And so of course you have action, adventure, lust, love. You have all the heavy hitters in romance. All of my characters transition into their immortality in their 40s, like late 30s, 40s, because I got sick of seeing 20-year-olds. I mean, I have nothing against 20-year-olds.
I
Love
love
you
that.
all. But when I was looking for smut, I had a hysterectomy in 2018. And as I was convalescing, I was looking for something to read with a heroine that kind of felt like me. And I had a heck of a time finding something. And so I got really pissed off one day and I was like, I'm just going to friggin' write something. Like I just sat down. My first book started with an 11-page sex scene. I'm like, these old critters are going to have a great time. And then 7 books came from that sex scene.
I love that.
Yeah, it was just like I got that out and I was like, well, I'm a pantser too. So, props to all my plotters out there, but I'm a complete by the pants type of gal. And I just started crafting this story. And before I knew it, 140,000 words later, Druid was born. And I published it. I made a lot of mistakes, took it down, polished it, republished it, and then the other 5, they published like every 3 months. I was on a really quick, rapid release schedule. And then now I'm in Demon, which is the 7th book to close out the story. And I'm supposed to publish that in August, but I got to be honest with you, with the new job, I'm not sure it's going to be done in August. It may be more like September.
Yeah, we'll give everybody a chance to catch up on the first 6.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're kind of beefy, especially for romance. They're all of them about 90,000. I would love to be your friend, Elle Marie. Yes, pantsers. Yes. But yeah, I mean, so they're a little beefier read because they are fantasy and there's a big world behind it. And it's hard to fit that into 70,000 words or 60,000 words, which is typical for the romance genre.
Yeah, you're kind of breaking 2 barriers that I think have long since needed to be broken. And that is the idea that romance and fantasy don't mix very well, and that erotic fantasy is a 30,000 word, 45,000 word, adventure, and that's it, and a lot of times in a lot of aspects too, erotic fantasy. I mean, there are series, there is certain series, but a lot of times they're one-offs or they kind of follow like a crime aspect where they have one incident in one book and then they utilize the same characters in another book. But you are writing a true fantasy series for the most part, using erotica in that vein, and that's very cool. I've never heard of anything like this. So this is very interesting.
Thank you very much. Yeah, no, The whole series follows the team and their loves. So we see the characters in every book, and we'll even see little snippets of sexy time for those characters in the background of the prominent characters going through. But then in the background, there's this apocalyptic plot going on. And so at any given moment, you should be entertained with something, either in or out of the bedroom.
As somebody who's new to the erotic space in terms of reading myself, I've read a lot more in the last few years than I've ever read in my life. The interesting thing to me is, and maybe this lends itself to being a pantser very well, is that there's a drawn emotion that pulls everybody in and kind of moves you forward. And then it all becomes about connecting, like the different connections that you make. Talk a little bit about that process for you. Is that how you tend to pants it? Is, you know, your discovery is through the emotions and the connections, or is it more the discoveries through the plot and those things connect into the plot?
Well, honestly, I think it's a hybrid. I'm very much an intuitive writer, and I write what I'm feeling at the moment. So I'll chase either one of them. It really just depends on what I'm in the mood for. I'm a mood writer. So if I'm in the mood for a romance scene, a sex scene, I'm going to dive into that one. If I want, if I want an action scene, I'm going to hit that. I like to say that my series is more for entertainment than like some profound. I'm not like trying to change the world here. I'm trying to have fun, and so I try to keep that levity. There are dark moments because life has dark moments. You have to explore that. And it's the journey of getting out of those moments. Like every one of my books starts with something tragic. That's the one thing that gets my readers. They're like, holy shit. Thankfully they come out of it. But the first few chapters is a very relatable human experience, even though they're not human, they're immortal. And that's one of the things that I think really drives me in those connections, is not making them feel other. They actually feel like somebody you would know, or at least that's how I hope they come off, and so there are people that have told me, I feel like that could be my best friend, one of those characters. They have these superhuman abilities, and yet it feels so familiar to me. And I think that's where connecting my characters to that human experience, that I kind of thrive in that vein. Nice. And of course, part of the human experience leads to the bedroom. And so that's just a natural flow, right?
Nice. The other thing that you talked about earlier, and you mentioned about how you weren't seeing the type of characters representing you that you wanted to see. That's how a lot of writers are born, right? They want to write something that they want to see out there. What was it that you weren't seeing exactly that you felt like you needed to put into this space? I mean, you already mentioned the age aspect of it, but I'm sure there was more than just that. Well,
yeah, it was a woman who had a hysterectomy, still feeling sexy, still feeling like, a sexual entity. It was a mom. I'm a mother, and my character in the first book has a son who's off in college, and she's kind of like doing her own thing. It was really connecting with a character who looked like me. And we see that so much now, and I'm so grateful for it, actually, in diverse writing. These people are bringing in their perspective and their voices, whatever they are. And I love that trend, And so this was just my little way of creating a character. And she's curvy. She's not skinny, She's had a baby. She's not going to be perfectly proportioned. She's like 5'10". She's not 5'4". She looks like me. And so it's it was really just, I put myself in a book, but more awesome. Like, she's more awesome than I am. And a sexy druid, 900-year-old druid's like, hey, mama, you're the one for me. And that is appealing.
Well, I've technically only known you for like 40 minutes, and I can already tell you you're awesome. There's no
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Likewise, I think you're awesome as well. Yes, yay for Kirby heroines. Absolutely.
Well, Cindy, it's been a wonderful time talking to you. I really appreciate the opportunity. Look forward to meeting you in October. And Jesse says, yay for real representation of real human bodies.
Absolutely.
And thank you for taking the time to do this. I know that it's been a very long day for you, so I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about this. And we'll talk more. Let me know when the 7th book comes out. We'll have you on, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And
absolutely.
We'll
Thank
get
you
the
so much
series
for
out
having
there.
me. And I look forward to meeting you at Multiverse.
We will see each other in October. Definitely come to Monster Mash. I'll be in the audience. Come hang with me, and we'll chat. You'll see. The moment you're in there, the whole thing changes. It's very hard to explain. It's just one of those wonderful things.
Awesome.
All right, everybody. We'll be right back. Little word from one of Multiverse's sponsors in Chaotic Good Fitness. Get a little exercise in, because we're gonna need to stretch, because we got Amy the Kitchen Witch up next, and it's gonna be an awesome 35 minutes.
Awesome.
I have no doubt about it. All right, we'll be back in a moment. Thank you, Sydney.
Regardless what's out there for you, your body is your temple. Isn't it time for you to take control of your own fitness and well-being? To tell your story. In Dungeons & Dragons, Chaotic Good is a character alignment that reflects one whose heart is pure, but who does not take the law at face value. They question authority and forge their own path based on their own value system and morals. They value freedom and individuality over social norms and rules. CG Fitness views fitness and health in the same way. We are client-centered, body-positive. We focus on the individual client's needs and goals without trying to fit them into the standards set up by the fitness industry. Each client has a unique background, goal, and body that deserves to be valued and considered when working together. We don't expect all of our clients to look, act, and feel or need the same thing. Some clients want weight loss programs. Some join us for the pain management and reduction. Others have worked with us for pre-surgical body change needs. No matter why you come to us, we will find a way to help you level up. There is no one-size-fits-all magical answer to fitness and health goals, and there is no one-size-fits-all body shape. There's no quick, easy route to take. Making health improvements is hard work, but we are here to guide you through the journey. CG Fitness is about making improvements at your pace for you. So now let's pull out your character sheet and roll for that initiative. So if you're interested in how Kira and her team can help you, you can go to chaoticgoodfitness.com/services. So choose your path to better health and good fitness and tell your own story at chaoticgoodfitness.com.
An awesome part of geez, I didn't even do it right. I had it waiting for this whole time. Awesome opportunity as always. Chaotic Good Fitness, they're a wonderful part of Multiverse, and thank you for that opportunity to do that for them and talk a little bit about them. As the opportunity is so amazing for me right now to talk to Amy and our resident kitchen witch at Multiverse, and I think I told you this when we met in person last year, but Jesse asked me, during the time that I was doing it last year, who was my favorite new person that I met through this experience, and he didn't even get the question out before I said Amy.
Oh,
I mean, that was such a great conversation we had last year, and it was.
It really was.
Hey, I know that witch.
I know that witch. As long as you're pronouncing it with a W, we're fine.
So, Amy, for those who don't know you, who are here watching for the first time or experience Multiverse for the first time, tell me a little bit about who you are, what you do at Multiverse, and what you do outside of Multiverse too, because it's equally as fascinating and awesome.
Thank you. Well, so I have been the director of the Con Suite since Multiverse's inception. I was basically, I got to know Allie, who's one of the co-chairs, through a homeschool co-op. And she was telling me all about it. And my dad was involved in Dragon Con back when it was still in a comic book store. So like I grew up in conventions and I was so excited, and everything that Allie had to say was just like, these are my people, I'm in. And so I was thinking about it later, and I sent Allie an email and said, I really have some great tips and tricks on ways to like really feed healthy food at a low cost in your Con Suite. Like, when you find a suite director, like, let me know, because I'm happy to like pass on this wisdom that I've gleaned from, having grown up in conventions. And Allie was basically like, well, that's amazing, because I just found my Con Suite director. So, and I knew better. Like, if you can accidentally volunteer for things like this, for sure. And it has been the absolute best volunteer position of my life. I'm so excited. It's funny because in the real world, I publish cookbooks, and I'm also a ghostwriter, and I write all kinds of different, fiction and nonfiction and smut and all kinds of fabulous stuff, but I can't tell you or I'd have to kill you. So what I published for myself have been cookbooks, and Allie was the first person to call me a kitchen witch. And it was kind of like, do you remember the book, The Ugly Duckling?
Sure.
Right? Yeah. And it felt exactly like what it must have felt like the first time the Ugly Duckling got called a swan. You were like, oh, wait, that is me. Oh, I get it now, right? So I really embraced that and ran with it. Multiverse is the real world. I agree completely.
Especially when you're there. You don't want it to end.
Right? It's the Monday after Multiverse that is not the real world.
No.
But yeah, so I really embraced that, and ran with it, and it really fit me in a way that I hadn't found, there never was a box or a closet that I fit into, but that was definitely a title that fit me. And so like, I will be eternally grateful to Allie for that. But also, it gave me a sort of a direction for the branding of what I was doing with cookbooks and stuff. I'm one of those, neurospicy folks who has a special focus, and food and the history of food has been my special focus for many, many years, which is great because basically people have been eating for as long as they've, climbed out of the ocean. So there's a lot of information. So at least I won't ever run out of something new to learn on my special focus.
Yeah, you were so excited last year. You included some indigenous recipes into the fold last year, which were just spectacular. And you developed staples like tamale night, which I assume will never go away.
Tamale night can never go away, because if someone shows up on Friday and I don't have tamales, like, I'm kind of afraid of what might happen.
Right? Yeah, there might be chaos beyond chaos.
But that's actually,
Multiverse might implode.
Right, exactly. It would all end. But that's actually a really great segue to kind of something that I'm working on. I had a website and all the stuff that I had started before Multiverse, which was
Right.
Mama Maker Cook. And it was coming up for renewal. And I was like, well, I've really just moved on in my life. Like, so I've switched everything over in the last week to Aimee the Kitchen Witch, as my website's coming up in the next couple days. And, you know, I updated a new Facebook page and stuff. So if anybody wants to look on my Aimee the Kitchen Witch Facebook page, there is a giveaway happening right now, which is there. I posted a recipe for a tamales, easy tamales. It's actually a casserole instead of single ones. So it takes a lot less time. So it takes all of the stress out of tamales. But if anyone wants to comment on it, I'm giving away some cookbooks and some other special things. So if you're interested, look me up on the Book of Faces.
I'll put the link in the description for everybody so they have it. So
Awesome. Thank you.
Jesse says the tamale riots of 2024.
Yeah, no, I promise to keep that from happening.
And Vanessa said, OMG, I love the Indigenous lunch. That was so good.
That was my biggest hit of the year, I think. And what we did last year was each one of the meals was sponsored by a different nonprofit, and the board members of the nonprofit came and kind of, you know, chatted with people as they were picking up their meals. Yeah. And we had a lot of people sign up to become volunteers. So the Indigenous one was sponsored by Peacekeepers, which is a wonderful local group that is run by a dear friend of mine who is a Muskogee elder. I also happen to be of Muskogee descent. So it was super special, but just how people saw the food and recognized it as, you know, like just kind of down home food, but it was really all of the ingredients were things that were actually native to the area that we live in, which, you know, if you think about it, most of the food that we think of has different origins. But when when you're looking at squash and corn and all kinds of magical things, they really are local.
I'm going to say you started a trend. I don't care if it's far-fetched or not, but this year on Top Chef, they did an Indigenous meal where they had to cook from Indigenous ingredients. And so I think Aimee the Kitchen Witch deserves credit.
It's me. I did it. There's some amazing movements in Indigenous foodways happening right now, which I think is so inspiring because, you know, much like the African diaspora, like the actual foodways have been sort of erased by history, and people going back in time and looking at those things and figuring out what those foodways really were and how to preserve those. I mean, I grow a lot of heirloom veggies and herbs and things in my garden as well, because it's just that one next step to keeping the history alive for my own children.
Yeah, no, but, you know, keeping them away from GMOs and toxic elements, right? Because food is just preserved so badly in our country, right. Especially.
Absolutely.
And Jesse says Aimee is not exaggerating about how good her food is. Y'all, a full endorsement can confirm.
It's funny because I have to say my favorite thing about Multiverse is just the amount of serotonin involved in like feeding all of these people. Like, you guys keep me going all year long with the love, and I appreciate it.
Well, I'm gonna put a call to action behind this particular interview that we're talking about a little bit later, but we'll save that for now, just so that we'll keep it light for just a moment. But I am curious if from we talked last year. I'm also doing something where I'm pinpointing to last year's interview. Everybody go check out what I talked about Aimee last year. But Aimee mentioned that she had experience at the Peach Tree Hotel last year, if you didn't know that. So, and your excitement was palpable when we talked about it then, but now we're really close to it. And I don't know if your space yet or not, but I've heard amazing things about it already. Are Are you just super excited about where you're going to be and how you're going to be presenting this year?
I am super excited because I love that hotel. In my past life, I spent over a decade as an event planner, and was really, every time I worked at this particular hotel, I loved it. Like, the staff is amazing, the management is amazing, the setup is amazing, everything around it is amazing. There's a lake there, like it's a vacation spot.
Yeah.
As well as being within driving distance of Atlanta. So it's really going to be so much fun. And I have sort of a sneak peek of this year's theme, if you're interested.
Yes, of course. Well, no, don't tell anybody.
Don't tell anyone, right?
Just must mention that the Multiverse is a 3-day serotonin bath.
Yes, it is absolutely a 3-day serotonin bath, for sure.
All right, so yes.
Okay.
Please give us a little preview.
So, as I was trying to come up with some wonderful ideas, a good friend of mine sort of helped me develop this idea. And I was talking to Allie's husband, whose name has left my brain right now, and I'm so sorry. I'm pointing at my husband because I think he would remember, but whatever, it doesn't matter. That's me. It's on me. Anyway, so he last year suggested that we use Aaron. Thank you so much, Jesse. Oh my gosh. I know Aaron's name. I'm just being interviewed and I'm slightly drunk. So I apologize. Sorry, Aaron.
Okay. My sick brain didn't recall it right off the bat either. So I apologize for not knowing that either, Aaron. Sorry.
No, but Aaron had suggested, like, what if we use the meals and sort of focused on like games or books or something like that? And that had been sort of percolating in my brain. And I was talking to a good friend a couple weeks ago, and he said, well, Multiverse has a lot of authors. I know at least a few of them have books where they, have events set in restaurants. Sarah Bond is one of our amazing authors who it will be at Multiverse, and she has a book that's actually set in a bar, and it's very like Southern bar food and stuff like that. And there are so many.
2023, by the way. So.
Yeah. So there are so many of our wonderful authors at Multiverse that we like. I'm starting to reach out to people and be like, so what if we had a lunch based on, a couple books that are similar in vibe, and give the authors a space, kind of like we did with nonprofits last year, but to actually build menus around some of our own guests' work.
Fantastic.
Isn't that a fun idea? Of course, tamales is me. But yes, a recurring coffee shop, Vanessa. Yes. All right, good. Jesse said I love this, which is great because I totally forgot to run this by them before this interview.
Yeah. No, it's a really cool idea. Yeah, it is a really cool idea. I think the problem is that you only have 3 days. You have to be a little selective with who you choose, but
right.
Not everybody's going to get an opportunity, but if this hits like fire, then you've got more opportunities next year and the year after.
Right. Or we could do pop-up dinners for some of the local authors. I mean, I cook all year long, my friends.
Along the lines of what you're doing for yourself out there, you've gotten recruited by Crone Girls Press this year to be part of their anthology. Are you looking forward to being a part of that in the manner in which you normally do things as an author yourself? As a known author, you're doing a cooking recipe that involves mushrooms, I would assume, because it's
right. I think people would be disappointed if it didn't.
Right.
Actually, I can't even describe how excited I am to work with Crone Girls Press because I'm going to do a online cooking class with some of the donors from the Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of my favorite things. I love doing cooking classes. I mean, I absolutely promise to put on my Julia Child's voice at least once during every class, like.
I know. It's a running joke between me and Amy. It's not really a running joke, but she, one of these days we'll get her on Go Indie Now and doing this for sure. I promise. I've promised her. I promise the audience that'll happen. We just gotta
exactly
We'll figure it out.
I'll have to make you some beef bourguignon.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. But...
No. Yeah. So I'm super excited about the class, and then I've created a couple recipes that are going to go out as recipe cards for donors of the Kickstarter. And it inspired me so much because I was spending all this time going through all of my recipes. I have an intense vintage and antique recipe and cookbook collection. Like I said, it was my special interest, and I'm not kidding. You can see all of my little aspic molds right over my head here. Like that's how serious I am, right? And that's like 1/10 of my collection. But I was going through all of these recipe books and looking for ideas that I could adjust for the modern kitchen, which is what I specialize in. And I was compiling them, and I was like, gosh, I have like 200 pages of mushroom recipes. I guess I got a book now, right?
Nice.
So they inspired me, and I'm actually working on a series called Things That Grow in the Dark. And it'll be recipes. I'm going to start out with mushrooms, obviously. Thank you, Crone Girls Press. And the next one is going to be potatoes, because there is this inside joke about the multiversians and the potatoes. So I'm going to
already here.
I'm going to need a potate book to be out before Multiverse happens. And that's, it's just been super exciting. Like I taught a class at MomoCon about embroidering mushrooms, so I could have an excuse to sit and embroider a bunch of mushrooms, because I'm going to include them in some of my gifts. Potatoes. But it was just such an inspiration that started like a whole new cookbook series.
That's awesome. I love that. That's the magic of Crone Girls Press, because we love Crone Girls Press, Rachel.
Yes.
And Vanessa just wants to make sure you don't hog her guests so they don't miss their panels. Okay. So
I will. I promise to coordinate with Vanessa when meals and panels are happening. I promise, Vanessa. Pinky swear.
So give everybody a sense of the Con Suite itself, the structure of it, and when people can, line up and be part of, when they can get subsistence, the meal times and everything like that, for people who've never been before, because we do have a lot of first timers this year. So.
Right. Well, the Con Suite of Multiverse is different from any other convention that I have been to or worked at or heard of, in that we do not just full meals, but when Allie and I were first talking about it, because the goal of Multiverse was inclusivity, to make the Con Suite inclusive as well. So all of our meals last year, all of our meals were completely vegan and gluten-free. And sometimes I'll do, there's an option of vegan and gluten-free, and there's a different option. Actually, for brunch, that's not true, because for brunch I did have vegan grits or like cheesy buttery grits, because quite frankly we live in the South, and also grits. But there was nothing missing. If you didn't want to eat the egg scramble, you had a tofu scramble that was equally delicious. And for all of the other meals, like the indigenous meal and the tamale night, and we had a Jamaican curry meal. All of those things were completely gluten-free and completely vegan, except for breakfast, because that one was on me. But the idea is that I just wanted to really make it as inclusive as possible. And so Friday night, there's that's always tamale night, because you got to kick off a con the right way. And then we do just a continental breakfast on Saturday, because that gives me enough time to start thinking about lunch and dinner. And then we'll have 2 full-size meals on Saturday. And then on Sunday, because typically no one's really moving first thing on a Sunday morning at a convention.
If they did it right.
If you did Saturday night right, if you went to bedtime stories and the Monster Mash, then you are sleeping in on Sunday.
And the dance party and the karaoke. And
Exactly. And so we do brunch on Sunday, so we don't have an early morning breakfast. But if you show up, the Con Suite opens, I think 8 or 8:30. I can't remember right now, so I'm not going to commit.
It's fine.
But
it'll be on the website, everybody.
It'll be on the website. It'll be on your tag. I promise it'll work. But when you can show up for coffee and get a granola bar and come back a little later for brunch, if you happen to be an early riser on Sunday, no judgment. We love you all. I'm going to have the door open and the coffee will be on. So
another unique thing about your con suite that is different than the 3 or 4 that I've actually attended other cons at is that you have a constant snack rotation as well that you can offer people, and healthy snacks, not just there's the nice junk food snacks too, but there's healthy stuff as well,
Right. And also one of the things that I do is I have what I like to call kid-friendly food, but honestly, lots of adults, especially people with, dietary needs, or like my grandmother used to say, I only eat of my acquaintance. So if something just seems a little too strange for you, there's usually something. I always have, like last year, I had quesadillas, like just plain cheese quesadillas, or beans and rice, or pasta, that you can ask for. Obviously, I don't put it out because my goal is to introduce people to new and exciting things. But if new and exciting is not your bag, then I can help with that too. And also, if you have tiny humans, right? I have 8 children. My kids are always there, the entire menagerie. And, I understand. Like, honestly, my 4-year-old was not going to be eating the Jamaican curry either.
Jesse wants to say that as someone who's not vegan or gluten-free, I can say that there was absolutely nothing missing. All of its deliciousness, and I never noticed that they weren't animal products. That's delicious witchery right there.
Oh, yeah, thank you. And I don't necessarily bill it as this is gluten-free, vegan.
As someone who is gluten-free, it's definitely a safe place to eat during the con.
Yay! That makes me happy. It's funny. The first cookbook that I published right after 2019, and then we had obviously the big shutdown in 2020. I published a cookbook using all of the gluten-free and vegan recipes from the first year of Multiverse, and all of the proceeds of that cookbook went towards feeding families in need during the shutdown.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, it was so great to be able to not only reach out to people during the con, but also to sort of use that to further, good things in the world, which is what I'm about. And most of the families that I was helping had some sort of dietary needs, because food banks just don't cover that. It's very hard to go to a food bank and get vegan food or gluten-free food. Yeah. And so I was able to, turn the casserole into an act of love, and Multiverse sort of gave me a stepping stone to be able to do that.
And everybody Amy always brings books with her, so go buy a
Yeah.
book from her. Get some good recipes and some good stuff, because she always has those available at the Con Suite. And I think, do they put it at the Multiverse table too for you downstairs in the vendor hall as well sometimes?
We didn't last year, but that's a great idea. I bet I know someone I should talk to about
I bet
that.
you do too.
I'm going to be like, hey, Jesse, Joe had this great idea. I'm
And
obsessed with you.
Jesse said, did we mention? Yes, everybody, it is completely free with your membership. So
Yes.
if you have a badge, you get to eat at the Con Suite, no questions asked. So
And-
there you go.
and here's something I just want to add in, is that this year the hotel has food packages as well, right? So you can buy a package where you can get drinks and meals and the all of the wonderful places that they have at this hotel. And this hotel has amazing food. The hotel that we were at previously, I will never say anything bad about them, but let me say we leveled up. Okay. maybe several levels, but we definitely have leveled up. And the Con Suite can be, sort of the bridge between what you paid for and what you don't want to pay for. And for people who are showing up, you spent your last few dollars on your membership to come. I have done that for conventions, let me tell you. It's so nice to know that you also don't have to pack everything. Like the first year of Multiverse, one of the people who volunteered in the Con Suite, she came up to me. Her name's Victoria, and I love her. If you're here, Victoria, I love you. She volunteers every year. She's my favorite. But she came up to me and she had big tears in her eyes, and she was like, "I've never been to a convention that I could eat something that I didn't pack in my suitcase."
Mm.
And that was just like, it just was like, oh, because I feel that, I remember what it was like to be young and be like, I'm going to do whatever I can do to get to this convention. And then, ate granola bars for 3 days. So it's a special gift, I think, to the people. And the fact that Jesse and Allie have provided this is amazing.
Yes, absolutely.
Exactly. No one's going hungry. Absolutely.
I will add also something that's very valuable about the Con Suite that is different from the restaurant experience is that we have 30 minutes to go from panel to panel. It's a luxury that we all have from Multiverse. That affords you an opportunity to jump on the elevator, get up to the Con Suite, get a little snack, come back down, and make sure that you always have substance. It is a great way to keep you going and keep that energy flowing, because food is energy and that helps you. And the Con Suite is a great space for that opportunity, because nobody wants to wait in line. I mean, you might have to wait in line at the Con Suite, but it's not as bad as waiting in line at a Starbucks in a hotel and waiting and getting
when everybody else is on break at the same time.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and
it's a great opportunity to do that. So
and there's always like snacks and things available. It's open all the time, which is fun. And also, even if you're planning on meeting all your friends and going to dinner afterwards, it's nice to be able to stop and grab a actual sustenance, so that you're not dragging your butt along behind you at the end of the day. I was at a convention a couple months ago, and I was there as a writer. I had a rice cooker and an Instant Pot and all this stuff up in my room. So at one point, some of the other writers were just like, "Oh, I haven't eaten in 2 days and whatever." So I came down to the booth with a big Tupperware full of matzo balls and was like, "All right, who needs a matzo ball?" So it's just funny to me because I notice it missing at cons that I go to. So my goal is for no one to miss out at Multiverse.
And Vanessa, speaking of break, we should note that there's a dedicated dinner hour where no programming is happening. So you have plenty of time for the Con Suite or the restaurant, everybody. Yes.
That is absolutely true. You'll have time for the Con Suite. The restaurant there is really on the ball, so I wouldn't be concerned about, going to the restaurant. And the thing is, it's not a competition, right? Like food is love. Like buy the restaurant thing. Stop by my suite. My goal this year is to have some small bites as well as full meals.
Nice.
So that way, if you are on the meal plan and you're not meal plan, that's college. Sorry, I have a college kid. So
similar, yeah.
But if you are on, if you have bought the special dinner package, then you can still come to the Con Suite and get something small and homemade, and instead of feeling like you can only come for meals. My goal this year is to be able to have a little bit more of okay, would you like a whole meal or would you like the tapas package? You know what I mean? Give some options, because the hotel has been so good to us. I'm so excited to be able to support what they're doing for us as well.
Okay, so everybody, here's my call to action, because this happened last year, and I'm got Amy's back on this. All right, everybody. So she provides you all with an opportunity to feed yourselves and enjoy an experience that you don't get at any other con. Trust me, you do not. And part of that involves bringing that stuff to where she's going to be. And we would love to see if you are there anytime in the early time period right before the con begins on that Thursday night or that Friday morning or whenever Amy's there. We would love to see you come downstairs and help us all bring that stuff to her. She needs hands, and we all need to pitch in. It is what we should be doing to thank her, because she does such an amazing stuff. So my call to action is, I want to see a lot of you out there who are watching this now joining me downstairs at the van, picking up stuff and bringing it up there, because we did a lot of that last year. And truthfully, between Bob, myself, your husband, Mike, and everybody who was there, we managed to do it. But it was still, we'd love to see more hands. And
I agree. And this year, I think I love the call to action, and I completely concur. And I think I'm going to make some sort of special package for. I don't know if you guys know this, but I always have special gifts for my volunteers in the Con Suite. Like last year, I crocheted little creatures, whatever. There's always something. So if you volunteer in the Con Suite, there's always swag.
Well,
that is provided by me, not Multiverse. But yes. And also for all of the people who pulled together to help unpack the Con Suite last year, I want to say a special thank you, because I was driving my children home from the con, and my car broke down on 285 with 6 kids in the car.
Yeah.
And so my husband had to leave and join me and save me off the side of the road. And, people jumped in and helped. And I've never gotten an opportunity in public to say thank you to all of those people. So thank you, because there are very few things in this world that are more frustrating than being stranded on the side of the road.
On 285 especially.
On 285 with 6 children in the car.
Right.
So thanks again for all the help, guys. And folks of all kinds.
Well, I tell you, the children you fed me when we were doing the shutdown that dog was plenty thanks enough for me. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Really good stuff.
Special thanks to Rob for organizing.
Yes. Special thanks to Rob Grimmery for helping organize and getting everything out of the Con Suite, because Woo, thank you, Rob.
Do we know this? Do we know where you're located this year? Do you have that information? Liam,
I don't have the room number written down right now.
Well,
it'll be on the website, and I'm really looking forward to going down for a tour and starting to plot things and,
Well, we're really looking forward to it. Aimee, another great conversation. What can I say? This is just
Thank you.
fabulous. It's so awesome to have you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for taking the time to join me, and I look forward to seeing you in October and eating some more delicious food and getting you all prepared to make all that wonderful stuff. We're real excited for it, and thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. I love your shows, and I love being one of your guests. And honestly, invite me back anytime.
Well, we're gonna do we'll talk. We'll talk in October about the cooking show because I might have an idea, so we'll think about it.
Perfect.
All
All right.
right,
Thank
everybody.
you.
So one last thing before we all go here. I have, as always, there's special things about the multiverse that you may not be aware of. And the sensory break room is one of those wonderful things. So here's a little something about that, and then I'll be back to say goodbye.
The Multiverse Sensory Break Room. Its purpose is to provide a peaceful, specially set-aside space for multiverse attendees experiencing anxiety or sensory overload, just to calm down, rest, and regroup. Materials that are often found in the SBR, but are subject to change, are weighted in regular blankets or individually wrapped earbuds, a white noise machine, and adult coloring books and other books for quiet activities, along with bottled water. It's a great place to just get your senses and bearings about you, take some time, take some breath, maybe even meditate a little bit. And in that spirit, we'll have this moment of Zen to celebrate one of the great charms of the Multiverse Convention, the Sensory Break Room.
Again, I say it each and every week, and I'm just going to keep on saying it. If that's not a reason to come see us in October and join us, I don't know what is. I mean, I'm hungry just having this conversation that we just had with the Kitchen Witch and Aimee Andrichak and Sydney Brianna. Thank you to all my guests for being here today. It was a wonderful, wonderful episode, and I'm really grateful. We have another one on Monday, everybody. So 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll have another spotlight on the multiverse on Monday, and I can't wait for that. It's going to be another great couple of guests and some more opportunities to learn about multiverse. So again, I hope you join us October 18th to the 20th. Come and see us in Peach Tree City. And remember that it's always time to go with you now. Bye, everybody.